Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land. On this hashtag Wealth Wednesday, we have an author who is really touching hearts of those who've experienced adversity. To be continued. Lindsay Vogel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
So what was the genesis of this collection?
So I don't think anything happens by accident, but this was an interesting way that I actually created this book. So I lost my voice when I was 17, and I started writing how I felt and different experiences that I went through and throughout my journey and my life. And I would just write because I had a lot of time to think. And my grandmother was always very fond of my writings, and she always told me, you know, Lindsay, if you don't do anything with your writings before I die, you know, I don't know, go back to school or something. And she's a New Yorker. And I was like, okay, sure. You know, I'll see what I can do about putting my poetry back together and putting my writings, you know, in order. And I ended up just publishing my book. I ended up meeting someone who I told an individual about the actual story about how my grandmother wanted me to publish my writings. And he's like, oh, well, I can help you. And I was like, that's incredible. So long story short, I ended up publishing a book to be continued for my grandmother, not really to showcase it to anyone, because it was really personal and very detailed about not just my stories, but other people's stories that haven't yet found the strength to share.
Well, and you mentioned, though, not having the strength to maybe share. Mm-hmm. Would you take us back to your youth and the adversity you personally experienced? Because it's very unique, and it gives you the voice.
Sure. Well, in a nutshell, you got tissues?
Yeah.
I left my house when I was 15, and I kind of raised myself. And I lost my voice when I was 17. And it was terrifying for 2 years. And yeah, I was...
What do you mean you lost your voice? You couldn't speak?
Mm-mm.
Is it because you didn't want to?
Oh, no, I wanted to. So I believe in manifestation very, very much. And growing up, I felt like, it's funny because I felt like I started the trigger effect or the ripple effect when I was young. You have to be very careful of your thoughts and very careful of how you speak to yourself. And so growing up, I felt like I always told myself, oh, I feel like I don't have a voice. I feel like I'm not being heard. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up when I was 17 and I couldn't talk. And I was top 10 in my choir. I was a singer. And I was diagnosed with spasmodic dystonia. And they told me that I could never talk or sing again without treatment. My thing is, I'm like, don't tell me what I can and cannot do. I kind of gave them a flick of a finger. And I don't believe in people telling you what you can or cannot do. I believe you're fully in control of everything that you tell yourself. It just takes strength and awareness and being alert to your mind, your body, and drive to want to change and understand yourself. And so I gave myself mentally 2 years, and April of 2009 was actually my last treatment that I got, which was amazing. And they called it a miracle, and I called it manifestation and like a strong mentality. So that's kind of the...
Thank you for sharing.
You know what's fascinating?
For sure.
So many things, there are countless things about you that I just absolutely love, Lindsay. Of course, your strength and resilience and your intelligence and your beauty. I am so fascinated by this story that you just shared because you sort of were thinking and feeling very strongly about sharing your voice with the world. And it was at that time that it was impossible for you to share it. And it seems like it's deepened this passion and this desire to share it in a larger, greater way. Is that your experience, or?
Absolutely. When a lot of people don't share their stories because they want to hold it to themselves, and I understand that. You need to share your story at your own pace and at your own time, and you need to take your own time and when you're ready. I actually thought I didn't have a story, which is interesting because I used to look at other people's stories and try and be like, oh, well, I didn't go through that, so I don't have a story. Well, I didn't go through your experience, so that doesn't make me, worthy enough to talk about my story. And then I would share a little bit about my story, and people would be like, that's incredible. You need to talk about that. You have a voice now that, you can share with other people, and people need to be able to share their voices. And who knows? People could hear my story and hear your story and hear your story and hear your story and everyone's story. Everyone has a story, and be like, damn, because of you, I didn't give up, or because because you went through that and you surpassed that. That's my current circumstance right now, and that's something that now you're giving me the strength to share my story. And so I think, for me, I had to work through it, and I'm like, oh, well, it's selfish not to share my story, because I know how many people that my goal in life is to share and help bless as many people and help as many people.
So is that really
people as
what they can
possible.
expect in the book, is to just really experience and hear the story and the trials and triumphs?
Yes. So this story is a roller coaster of emotions. You don't know if you'll be laughing and crying at the same time, or crying or laughing. It's not a book where you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm gonna get my daily motivation. It's a book that you can open up and be like, wow, I relate. It's raw. I've been through that. I've had those same emotions. I've had those feelings. I'm not alone.
I love that. You're a master communicator, and as an author, clearly you use books as one medium, but there are also other mediums. I know there's a producer, director, and other things. So talk to us a little bit about the other projects and the ways in which you're sort of expressing and sharing your voice with the world.
Absolutely. So I've been very blessed to surround myself with incredible people that have allowed me to put something in place that I've been working on for quite a bit now. I'm in the midst of producing a TV show that is integrating everything that I love, which is inspiration and people's stories, and helping people be able to share their stories who have overcome adversity and challenges, and walking in the experiences. So we as viewers and can also sit back if they've gone through their own adversity and their own challenges, or just come home from a long day of work, and a lot of people don't like what they do, but they want to do things that make them happy and bring them joy. And my goal with my show is to be able to merge fun, because I'm strange, and which I love, and fun and adventure, but people's stories and inspiration. So people come home from a long day of work or a long day of whatever they're doing and sit back and be like, damn, because of you, I didn't give up. Or your story inspired me to go do this. Your story inspired me to pursue my
story is everything.
Stories.
And if you can
and
tell a
journeys.
great story, you will have the
Yes.
world
Totally.
for sure.
Are there some folks in your life consistently that inspire you the most in terms of telling the story and encouraging you to tell your story? And who are those people?
Yes. Well, my grandfather, first off, he was an Auschwitz survivor, and he was my rock. And of course, this show honestly wouldn't be anything without my incredible friend Julie Hagen, who is amazing, who's behind the camera. And she honestly, I shared this story with her, and she, a lot of people say they're going to help you or they're going to be on board, but I say talk is cheap. I see better than I hear.
You're a New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker. I'm from Baltimore, but my whole family's from New York. So I'm like, okay, talk is cheap. Come on, tell them. Well, I want to see you take action. I want to see you do things. Put your money where your mouth is.
I agree.
Well, Lindsay, please tell everyone where they can find and follow your story.
It is Leave It to Lindsay, LEAVEIT, the number 2, and then LANDSAY.
Leave it to Lindsay.
Leave It to Lindsay.
That's it?
That's my Instagram. I was like, do you want my email?
To be continued. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.